Yo, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Film School Experience podcast. It's really good to see you all. I hope you are having a wonderful time wherever you are, whenever it is you're listening to this. So, this week's podcast episode, I'm not interviewing anyone, so I thought I would share with you all my experience in the first semester at USC in the MFA program. What was it like? What did I do? What did the projects look like? What were the classes that I took? And I just want to give you a more in-depth idea on what that first semester looked like for me. So hopefully if you're interested in that program, or maybe you're not at all, it'll just give you an idea of what we learned and what I did. And hopefully at some point I can share all of my exercises that I'll talk about later in the episode with you all so you can see exactly what I did for each exercise. Okay, and camera is rolling.
Sound speed.
This is the Film School Experience.
Take one apple and action.
All right, so now that I am graduated from USC in the MFA program, I really just want to reflect on that first semester just to see, again, what classes I took, how it influenced me today as a filmmaker, specifically as a cinematographer. And if you go to a film school of your choice, will your first semester impact you after you graduate? All right, so for me, the year is 2020, the year of COVID. So I'm going to be explaining the classes that I took, and it might be different nowadays at USC just because it is no longer COVID. And I was unlucky, or lucky, however you want to call it, to be one of the cohorts that started off their first entire year on Zoom. So I took 5 classes my first semester, and they were 507, Production 1, 505, Creating the Short Film, 502, Collaboration and Creativity, and 530, Cinematic Ethics. So these classes were actually really awesome, like now that I look back at what I learned that first semester, because again, just to remind you all, USC, the MFA program, you don't have to have had any background in film to be accepted into that program. Now, it'd be nice if you did, but again, you don't have to hold a BA in film or anything cinema related. You can come in as an English major, someone who studied physics, biology, whatever it may be, so don't worry. If you get into this program, you do not have to have any background at all. So jumping back to those 5 classes, yes, they were super informative, especially for someone who didn't have any background in anything related to film. Now for me, I was a special case because yes, I did get my bachelor's at Cal State Northridge in film and television production. So I went into the game knowing a lot. Now, my classmates at the time, they all varied and ranged, and it was really cool to be able to have the experience that I did before coming into the MFA, and then also seeing my classmates, my friends, come into the program with a fresh new perspective, especially those who didn't study film in undergrad. That was really cool. So again, for the USC MFA program, I'm not sure how any other schools design their program, but you don't have to have any experience when you're applying for the program. All right, so a brief and quick overview of each of those 5 classes that I took in the first semester. 507, Production 1. Now that class was really awesome because that's where we actually got to make and produce films and stories that we had to actually record, edit, produce, all that good stuff. Now, 505, Creating the Short Film. That class was really awesome because it is a script writing class. Oh, and again, I forgot to mention the lead professor for my 507 production class was Tim Kirkman. Now I'm going to be naming all of the professors that I had. They may or may not still be at USC, but please feel free to IMDb them. Search them up, see what movies they've made, because all of these people that I'm about to announce were really, really incredible. Like, they've done incredible things, like maybe you heard the last podcast from Bun, but they are all super talented filmmakers, and I wouldn't be surprised if you haven't seen 1 or 2 or 3 of these people's films. Okay, so Tim Kirkman was the lead professor for directing. He taught all of the directing classes and breakout sessions. Gail Katz is another professor that I had a part of this one class. She was the lead producing professor for the producing breakouts and everything that had to do with producing. Savannah Block, she was a cinematographer professor and handled everything that we learned about cinematography. Bruce Green was the editor professor, was really amazing, and he actually worked on and edited one of my favorite films as a child that I was growing up, and you probably have seen it, but he was the one who edited Cool Runnings. Is that not crazy? When I found that out, I was like starstruck. It was insane. And then last but not least, Suhail Kafidi. He was our sound professor and taught us everything about sound. And he has a lot of incredible films that he's worked on as well. 505, Creating the Short Film, which was taught by Tony Ann Johnson. She was amazing. If you guys know me, I'm not a writer. I'm a cinematographer. But this writing class in particular, and the way that Tony Ann taught it was incredible. She is such a very knowledgeable writer. She's worked on a lot of films. Again, just IMDb all of these professors because I feel like by now I've forgotten most of the films that they've worked on. But Tony Ann was just incredible, and she really helped me to find my voice as a writer, even though I'm not a writer. So I have like 2 or 3 scripts that I wrote in that class, which taught me how to write structurally and sound and what is a 3 act structure and what is a character arc and like so many other little things, like all the technical aspects of writing a script. She taught us, but not only that, like I was saying, she taught us all how to find our own voice and how to like really hone in on our own personal experiences and then turn those experiences into a 3 act structure. So I really, really admire Tony Ann so much. And yeah, she was just amazing. What a wonderful time that was. All right, 502, collaboration and creativity, which was taught by Pablo Frasconi. I hope I'm saying that right. But he was amazing. This class was a very unique and interesting one because everyone in the cohort had to take this class. So it was like 60 of us all in this one Zoom session taught by Pablo, and he was really awesome. And that one class really just taught us how to collaborate with others, how to really be a good listener, how to give good feedback and input on certain things on the entire collaboration process, which that class was really fun, and which, as you know, if you've made any films or if you're thinking about it, you will continue and continue to collaborate with others. So it is a wonderful foundation to just how you collaborate and like what does that actually look like on a film set. And then last but not least was 530 Cinematic Ethics taught by Lisa Lehman. That class was really awesome. And going into filmmaking, I didn't really learn anything about ethics. Like, are certain things ethical, like when you're on set? And it could be as simple as like, okay, we've had a 12-hour day. Do we push it another hour? Like, should we do that? Do people have to drive far home? How tired is the crew? So it was just really awesome to navigate through all of these ethical situations that one had actually happened, because that class, we actually looked at a lot of case studies of ethical issues happening on set, off set, during production, during pre-production, post-production. So many ethical situations like happen all of the time when you're working on a film, when you're working on a project. And it was just really awesome to see how other people have handled them and then learn how we, the students, move forward knowing all of these ethical situations that will be in front of us, and how do we navigate those situations smoothly with dignity, not only for ourselves, but also everyone else a part of the production. Okay, so those were all the 5 classes that I took during my first semester at USC, and I want to kind of double back to that 507, if you remember, the Production 1 class, and just read to you the overview of what we were going to learn in this production class. And again, these were my favorite classes because this is where we actually made a film, where we went out and had a camera in our hands, we had a script in our hands, and we were able to edit everything that we did. And production classes are really just a culmination of everything that you were learning in film school, or for me at USC. Okay, here it is. Hello and welcome to CTPR 507. There is no better way to learn how to tell a story than actually going through the process of doing it. Be patient and open to new ideas as you embark on this creative and personal journey of discovery. Overview. Production 1 is about ideas and your ability to communicate effectively through the language of cinema. It combines introductions to 5 major disciplines within the cinematic arts: producing, directing, editing, cinematography, and sound, with guided opportunities to create the individual and small group exercises. Students will have designated roles of 5 short exercises as part of the exploration and visual storytelling, as well as participate in exercises in all labs. The core focus of this class is to communicate ideas, feelings, moods, and emotions to the design of visual environments. All approaches to cinema will be introduced, including nonfiction, fiction, abstract, and experimental. CTPR 507 is the beginning of an educational process which we hope will awaken your instincts as a filmmaker. Participation in this course is mandatory. Absences are not permitted. The goal of this class is for each student to learn how to express themselves and reach a place where they can be self-critical to their own work and critique the other students' work in a helpful way as well. Wow, that was actually really cool. I haven't read this since 507, which again was in 2020. So that class is something that all first semester students continue to take. I just don't know if it's this exact specific lens of like approach and how the overview is It may be different, but that's just what it was for me. So I remember reading this and I was just so fired up and excited because I was like, ooh, it's going to unlock the filmmaker in me, which I already was, but I was just really interested at the time in diving deeper. So if you're brand new to filmmaking and you want to go get your MFA, specifically at USC, I can't really speak to any other experiences. This is a great start because you don't have to come into this program already being a filmmaker, already knowing what you want to do, or even knowing how to like write a script. And so that's what's really unique about USC in the MFA program is that it just allows so many people from many different walks of life, many different experiences, educational background to come into the program if you get admitted, of course, but just to come into the program with all of those life experiences and then hone all of those experiences as a filmmaker. All right, so this class, again, is the production class, if you forgot. But in this class, you have to go through 5 exercises, and each one builds off the other pretty much, but they are all leaning on the other breakout sessions that we all had with other professors, like our sound professor, our cinematography professor, producing, and so on and so forth. So this class isn't just about directing, it's about all 5 of those disciplines. And so these exercises are just an exercise of each one of those 5 different disciplines. Okay, so let's go through each 5 of those exercises and just hear what we had to do for each one. So E1, exercise 1, solo, using 1 second every day, which is an app. And we had to do this because, again, reminder, we were on Zoom, nothing was in person. So we had to figure out a way to accomplish each of these 5 exercises, which may or may not still be a thing at USC because they're in person. So I don't know what that experience is like. I just can speak to the COVID experience. Anyways, let's continue. 1 second every day. Phone application and create an exercise in which you will shoot 1 second of footage every day from the first day of the semester to the last week of the semester. These exercises are to be screened on the last day of class. No hazardous shooting conditions, forms are permitted, and you can only use available light. Now that was E1. E2, exercise 2, a 30-second self-portrait. Create a 30-second self-portrait documentary, which screens in week 3. So we only had like 4 weeks maybe to do that. Maybe it was 3 weeks. I don't remember. Okay, so E3, exercise 3, solo. Again, all of these are solo. If I didn't read it before, but these are all solo because, of course, we're by yourself. But I think even in person now, a lot of these exercises are meant to be solo, which you work by yourself. You shoot it, you write it, you edit it, all that stuff you do by yourself. It's not collaborative quite yet. All right, E3, character without people. Using only still and or moving images, create an exercise in 1 minute or less that reveals a dynamic, specific character in a place. Think of ways to reveal circumstances and character biography/personality with images only. That one we screened on week 5, so we had about 5 weeks to shoot this. And it couldn't be longer than 1 minute. So E4, exercise 4, emotion exercise. Write/shoot an original non-dialogue exercise that demonstrates an emotion. Maximum of 1 person in the exercise. And that one we screened in week 8, which we had 8 weeks to do that. And last but not least, E5 or exercise 5, collaborative. Now, this was awesome because we got a chance to actually work in groups, which the professors chose our groups for us. But it was an opportunity for us to finally get some practice with collaboration. All right, so this one was called collaboration/one story. Each student directs/shoots a 3-minute exercise from the same script which is developed in class and is then edited in collaboration with another student, the editor, and it screens week 11. So we had like the entire semester for that. That one was really awesome because we got a chance to actually like write a script and then shoot it, which if you remember, like I said, we took 5 classes. One of those classes that we took during that first semester was a writing class, again, 505. So we wrote a little script in that class and then we shot it in 507. So not only were we like working on scripts during that script class, but we were working to like film them, which was really cool. So we got a chance to kind of like cross over with the classes. And that was it. Those were all the 5 exercises. Hopefully those made sense. And again, I can't speak to how things are done at USC nowadays, especially because it's in person. So it may or may not be the same. And I just had the COVID experience. So that's what it was. All right, so yes, in a nutshell, that was a recap of my first semester. And I don't know how it is at any other film school, especially in an MFA program, but that's just how USC did it, how they possibly still do it with a few wrinkles or changes, whatever it may be. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense to you. And if you're interested and you're always wondering what happens in that first semester when you get accepted into film school, or into USC to be exact, that was it. We took classes that really built a foundation of how filmmaking is properly done within all 5 disciplines of production. And it was just really awesome to meet all of my friends. Again, we were on Zoom, so it felt really weird sometimes just being in front of a camera for like 8 hours a day in my room. But it was fun. And I'm just really happy that I stuck through with the whole 1 year of being on Zoom and the whole COVID thing, because there were students that opted out and they waited an entire year to start the USC program, which, for the people that did that, I'm sure it all worked out. But for me, I just wanted to get into the school and just start this 3-year journey. So that was semester 1. Again, hopefully you found it useful and gives you an idea of what to expect when going into film school, specifically at USC in the MFA program. All right, so that is all that I have for you on this week's podcast episode. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you took something from it. And if you know anyone who is interested in going to film school, hopefully you can share this with them. And I hope that it sheds light on what USC does, at least. Again, I can't speak to any other school, and I can only speak on the MFA program. I can't really talk about the BA, the Bachelor's of Arts program, but I'm assuming that it's very similar, which, spoiler alert, I'm pretty sure it is. So share this with anyone who is interested in going to film school, because, again, your first semester of film school, you're really just learning all of the basics, all of the fundamentals and foundations of being a filmmaker. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this week's podcast. Hopefully next week we can have an interview ready for you all. It's been really tough to line up my schedule with everyone else's schedule, but I'm working on it, and I'm constantly trying to figure that out for you all so that you're just not hearing my voice, because these are fun for me, but it may not be as fun for you. Anyways, thanks for listening, and I will see you all next week for another episode of the Film School Experience podcast.